Hi guys, nearly 5 o'clock here in London, just at the end of the trading day here. Just going to have a quick look over the markets, go over the data as well from this morning and into the afternoon, and then a quick focus on what is to come for tomorrow and the rest of the week. Data wise, I'll just switch my screen over. You can see here in the morning European data from around sort of 8 o'clock, mostly better than expected. Main sort of manufacturing, composite and service PMI coming out at 9 o'clock for Euro there. Slightly better, the UK data as well, if anything mixed or slightly better, but the main focus today wasn't necessarily on pound or euro strength from those numbers. It was a continuation of this dollar weakness that we've seen really since January last year, thanks to Donald Trump. You can see euro here, good push above the R1, came back, found support, and then pushed on, and similar time you were having all the other currency pairs doing similar things against the dollar. Couple of half decent opportunities in euro. I know a few of the live guys here took advantage of that, and obviously a few of you guys in the trading live room looked like you had pretty good days as well. Euro now at the highest levels not seen for quite some time. Switch over to the pound, which we're now at well, literally just above 142, similar sort of fashion around that sort of just after sort of 9 o'clock, really getting a push through. The pound really accelerated on through the R1, and then again 141 then acted as support on a pullback, just continuing this recent trend we have seen. Not to say that the pound is necessarily the strongest currency out there, or the euro is, but it's really being helped here by a weaker dollar. And if we have a quick look over the Aussie dollar, you can see another lovely sort of push through there, and using that support from the previous high to give it another push through. Weaker dollar really paying dividends. Dollar yen, it's obviously looking at here at the yen strength to the downside, or dollar weakness to the downside here. Has seen a continuation of this overall sort of move and a push through, and again a couple of half decent opportunities. The classic of the S2, and we've now at levels not seen for quite some time in dollar yen, back from September of last year. Dollar CAD, similar sort of picture here. In fact, we're just coming now to find a bit of resistance on what was a previous low. Be a bit wary. This level has already worked today. You see here we broke through, then found resistance to come back down lower. So I'll just be focusing on this market. If you're in it, just wary that it has already worked, and I'll be keeping an eye on oil following the data release at half 3, which we'll cover in a minute as well. So really, picture of the day, or story of the day, currency wise, is dollar weakness, and we've seen a push through resistance levels for euro, pound and Australian dollar that we haven't seen for quite some time. Over into equities, just going to quickly flash through the 3 US ones. S&P here, new all-time high. Dow Jones, new all-time high. And Nasdaq, new all-time high. But over the last sort of hour, we have seen a bit of a sell-off, and of course, as is always the case, a nice little buy the dip bounce to finish things off here in London. Cash open helped see that further push, and S&P just getting above the R2 for the day, and wouldn't really necessarily put this sell-off down to anything. There was a couple of comments out from Wilbur Ross, US Commerce Secretary, about China, but really for me I think it was just more a technical push down, and you can see if I just put this on a lower time frame, here is the Dow. It's just when we broke through this key support for the afternoon that it really sort of accelerated, and I don't see any reason why into the end of the week we can't push back and make a new all-time high at a similar time. So let's just mark that down, 4:10. and lower the time frame here on the Nasdaq, it's going to look pretty similar. There you go, 10 past 4, and where's the S&P gone? Similar sort of support level here, breaking through. Yeah, 10 past 4. So quite a solid breakthrough, all happening at the same time. Technically played for me, to be honest. I'm not sure how important those comments were, and if they were from those comments, it was a bit of a delayed reaction. The DAX, with the stronger euro, I guess, was always sort of feeling like it was about to go, but took its time. And you can see here this move that actually only happened really over the last couple of hours. If I drop this down to a 15-minute time frame, it wasn't until we really broke through the sort of the gap when we gapped higher, that area of support, that this move really kicked on, and still going strong into the ECB tomorrow. But really, this here is what's coming up to 4 o'clock, which might as well have sort of had a negative impact on stocks to lead to that push lower. But a decent break for DAX there, weighed on by the fact that the euro has been pretty strong today, really pushing through those higher levels. Gold supported this morning and still really now on the fact that, well, one, obviously stocks coming down, which will help, but also the weaker dollar has pushed us to highest levels not seen for a while. If we put this on a weekly chart, we're not a million miles away from the 5th of September level on the futures. And if this dollar continues to weaken, it won't be long before we get to that point. But here again, you can see decent push through both R1 and then found a bit of support on R2 before going. And I know a couple of the guys got in on that trade. And then once we broke what was the high of the day here, you can see we had another push through. Oil, pretty range bound until that data release came out. Pivot offering a good area of support. Data came out. It was a tricky one to trade, if I'm being honest. It was relatively mixed, and I think that's shown by the fact that we're not too far away from where we actually traded now. If you lower the time frame down to 5 minutes, you can see this is where the candle would have started at 3:30. Release comes out, push higher, found a bit of support on R1, and we came back pretty much exactly to that point. So, it perhaps well, you can see a clearly bullish reaction, but really a sort of a non-event that I wouldn't be expecting to see anything long-lasting from this particular release. In terms of oil, that is the highest level, again, probably helped by the weaker dollar in this respect, but the highest level we've been for oil since 2014 November, and actually that was when I was doing the course, and I do remember when it broke through these levels quite aggressively back then. So oil, for me, well, with the weaker dollar, I do favour the upside now. We were in this sort of consolidation period for quite some time, but now you can see that break above. I guess you've got to just go with the trend here for the meantime. Just having a quick look back to see if any of the currencies are doing too much. Still relatively near the highs for the currency markets. So let's have a quick look. Equities had a little bounce, just sort of consolidating around their low, well, near enough their low, so definitely keep an eye on that. And DAX has a bit of room to go. In terms of where the DAX could find support ahead of tomorrow, we've got a pretty interesting area just below here. Going to mark it up, the higher the 16th. Obviously, unlikely we'll get to that point, but something to be aware of ahead of 12:45 and 1:30 tomorrow. In terms of the data calendar, what else we've got on, you can see here, a bit of German data, the IFO Business Climate at 9 o'clock. Yeah, relatively important, but only if it was wildly out of line would I expect to see any reaction, especially given the fact of what is the main driver for tomorrow, with the 12:45 release, interest rate decision, and then probably more importantly the 1:30 press conference, which could offer a bit more clarification about maybe the March meeting and everything else going forward from there. 1:30, other than the press conference, looks quite interesting for both the dollar and the CAD, so that currency pair, dollar CAD, will also be quite an interesting one to have a look at. There you've got the continued jobless claims out of US, usually very low tier data, but retail sales out of Canada, which could offer some volatility for that pair. Just having a quick look back at the markets to finish up on. Let's have a look at equities as they just push down a tiny bit lower here. Let's have a look at potential solid support areas for that sort of buy the dip mentality, if you like. For Nasdaq, when we push through here on the 22nd, pretty solid level, I would say, to attract some buyers. And for the Dow Jones, pretty good area, 17th highs, 23rd or yesterday's lows. If we can get down to there, I think I would be interested in that. S&P, just to finish up, perhaps the key area people would be waiting for would be what was the high of the 19th that we broke through on Monday, but equally good looking at this. Yesterday's low and S1 looks also quite nice. Whether we get down to those levels, I quite doubt it in the near-term future. My bias would still be to the upside, and I think we'll get new all-time highs by Friday. But have a good evening. Catch you all tomorrow where we'll discuss the ECB in a bit more detail. And any questions, obviously, feel free to email me or message in the chat, as I'll be around for a bit longer.